Dear students, today we will start with Introduction to Anatomy and Physiology. So this video is basically for my GNM first year students, for them to get an idea about anatomy and physiology and for them to learn some specific terms. So what is anatomy? Human anatomy, ana means up and tome means to cut. So human anatomy is often defined as the study of structures in the human body. So basically anatomy is the study of the structures of the body. The structures include bones, muscles, systems, organs, cells and tissues. So what is the definition of anatomy? Anatomy is the scientific study of the structures of organisms, including their systems, organs and tissues. It includes the appearance, how it is in appearance, how it looks and position of the various parts, the materials from which they are composed. Suppose the systems, those are made up of certain organs. The organs are made up of certain tissues. Okay, so the study of all these things which they are composed of, their locations, where they are situated and their relationship with other parts. Then the types of anatomy. There are basically two major types of anatomy. The first one is gross anatomy or macroscopic anatomy and the other one is the microscopic anatomy. So what is gross anatomy? It is the study of anatomical structures that can be seen by the naked eye, such as the external and internal bodily organs. So the study of the structures which we can see with the naked eye is known as gross anatomy, which we can see without cutting the body also, and the organs which we can see after dissecting or cutting the body. Some organs that we can see. Okay, so the study of these certain things with the help of only eye without the help of any instruments or microscope is known as gross or macroscopic anatomy. The other one is the microscopic anatomy. So what is microscopic anatomy? It is the study of tiny anatomical structures which we cannot see without any instrument such as microscope, which we cannot see with our naked eye, that is the tissues and the cells. So the study of the tiny anatomical structures such as the tissues and the cells is known as the microscopic anatomy. Next, what is the importance of anatomy? Why we need to study anatomy? So knowledge of the structure of the human body from what can be seen with the unaided eye, that is gross anatomy, down to the molecular level, that is microscopic anatomy, is fundamental to understanding bodily function and how body structures and functions are modified by disease. That means at first we have to know the normal structure and functioning of the body parts and the body organs. Then only we can understand how a disease modifies or changes the structure and functions of those organs and systems. Okay, so that is why we need to learn human anatomy. Then what is physiology? So human physiology, physio means nature and logy means study. So human physiology is the study of the nature of the human body. So what is the definition of physiology? Physiology is a branch of biology that deals with the functions and activities of life or of living matter such as organs, tissues or cells, and of the physical and chemical phenomena involved with them. So anatomy deals with the structure of the body and physiology deals with the functions of the body. Anatomy deals with the structure of all the things that made up the body, that is the system, the tissues, the muscles, the organs, the cells and the tissues. Okay, and the physiology means the functions of all these things, the function of the organs, how it works, how the system works, how tissues and cells, and what chemical and physical phenomena occurs in the tissues and cells for the proper functioning of the body. All this is related to physiology. Next, we need to learn certain anatomical terms to understand or to study anatomy further. Okay, so medial. Medial means towards the midline of the body. Suppose we have drawn an imaginary line through the middle of the body, dividing the body into two parts, left and right. Okay, so anything towards the midline of the body is known as medial, and anything away from the midline of the body is known as lateral. Next is anterior or ventral and posterior or dorsal. So anterior means towards the front of the body and posterior means towards the back of the body. So suppose we have drawn an imaginary plane dividing the body into front and back portion. So anything in the front portion is known as anterior or ventral, and anything towards the back portion is known as posterior or dorsal. Okay. Next is superior and inferior. So superior, by the word itself we can understand that anything that is above is known as superior, and inferior means anything that is below is known as inferior. So superior means towards the top of the head and inferior means towards the sole of the foot. Suppose we have divided the body, suppose an imaginary transverse plane has divided the body horizontally. So and it is dividing the body into two parts. So the part or the organs above the horizontal plane is known as superior, that is towards the head, and the anything or any organ that is below that horizontal plane is known as inferior, that is towards the soles of the feet. Next is cranial, that is towards the top of the head is known as cranial, because the head is known as cranium. The outer covering of the head is known as cranium. So anything towards the top of the head is known as cranial, and caudal, that means anything towards the bottom of the trunk is known as caudal. Next is proximal. Proximal means towards the trunk, that is trunk means body. Okay, so proximal means anything that is towards the body is known as proximal, that is near to the body. And distal means anything that is away from the body or trunk is known as distal, away from the body. Next is internal or deep. It means away from the surface of the body. Here the surface of the body means the outer surface of the body, that is the skin. So anything that is away from the body, that is inside the body, is known as internal or deep. Okay, and external or superficial. Superficial means that is close to the surface of the body, that means that is towards the outer surface, towards the skin. Anything that is towards the skin is known as external or superficial. So next is anatomical position. So what is anatomical position? Anatomical position is the description of any region or part of the body in a specific stance. In the anatomical position, the body is upright, standing straight, directly facing the observer. Here the observer means I am the observer, I am observing the body, or you are the observer, or the examiner who will be examining the body is the observer. So the body will be facing directly the observer. Feet will be flat on the ground and directed forward. The upper limbs, that is the hands, are at the body side with the palms facing forward. So what is the anatomical position? You can see in the diagram that the body is standing straight in upright position facing the observer. The feet are flat on the ground and directed forward. The hands are by the side of the body with the palms facing forward. So this is the anatomical position. It is the universal position and used in anatomy throughout. Okay, so next is the importance of anatomical position. Why is the anatomical position used? Okay, so all structures of our body are described in relation to this position, irrespective to any body posture in space. That means when you will be describing a structure of the body, you will be describing it in this anatomical position in relation to other structures. So it is universal and used by everyone. Okay, so I hope you have understood, and the rest we will continue in another video. Okay, thank you all.